Hello and welcome back. In this video, we will be discussing about the gestalt laws of perceptual organization. Okay, like in the series of videos related to consumer perception, rather perception of human beings, how do we perceive things, right? In that series of videos, now we will be looking at how do we organize the information or the stimuli that we receive through the different senses. Okay, we as human beings, it is the natural tendency to, organize things or to group things or to group the various information or the various stimuli that we are exposed to based on certain principles. Okay, because we find it easy, like our brain finds it easy if it groups the different information based on certain conditions or certain similarities, rather than remembering the whole lot of information as random pieces of information or random pieces of stimuli. Okay, it is easy for us to group it so that we can easily get that memory back, so that we can easily relate to something, okay, based on certain commonalities. Okay, that is what is called gestalt psychology or gestalt principles of perceptual organization. Okay, gestalt means like we tend to, human brain always tends to group the random information that it receives. Okay, let us see based on what the gestalt principles we try to group the different stimuli. Okay, and based on that grouping of information, we tend to give certain meaning to that information as a whole, not in parts or not in bits and pieces. Okay, so that is how our human brain tends to behave. Okay, see, the first principle is law of similarity. Okay, law of similarity, that means we usually receive different pieces of information or different stimuli, but if there are certain similarities, if there are certain commonalities, we automatically, without our conscious knowledge, we tend to group all that similar information as one unit in the brain, in the mind. Okay, see, for example, if you look at this picture, see like a square, circle, square, circle, square. Okay, but what happens, like most of us, if we look at this picture, we tend to perceive this as vertical lines of circles and squares, not in any other form, because these are the similar shapes here. Okay, this is a different shape, but all these shapes are similar, circles. So we tend to organize that, we tend to perceive that as vertical lines of square, rectangles and circles, rectangle, circle, rectangle, like that we tend to organize that information. Okay, so based on similarity, like similarity can be of anything, like similarity in usage, similarity of color, similarities in any other cosmetic marketing appeals. Okay, we tend to organize. That is the reason why, say for example, if you take soaps, you have all the different brands of soaps coming right to your mind. If you say shampoos, all the different kinds of different brands of shampoos at once come to your mind. Okay, because they all serve a similar purpose. The purpose or the utility of a soap or shampoo, or say for example some other consumer durable like television or washing machine, they all serve a similar purpose, and we tend to group, we tend to remember the brand names of that particular product, I mean that of those brand names, we tend to group them in a one block. Okay, so that is how we do it in terms of the law of similarity. Okay, similarly the law of proximity. Okay, law of proximity, like proximity, the closeness. Okay, when different products or different brands are placed together in a showroom or in a shop, then you tend to perceive them to be similar. You tend to perceive them as one group. Okay, that is the law of proximity. Say for example, when you place a cheap brand or a cheap product near a costly brand, right next to a costly premium brand, then we as consumers, we immediately try to, we perceive that they both are equals. The cheaper brand or the cheaper product is equal to the premium product because it is placed right next to that premium product. So that is how law of proximity influences the perception of individuals. Okay, see here. See, all these circles, we perceive them as one group and these circles as different group because they are all placed together. They are all placed nearby to one another. And this group is placed nearby. They are all close. Okay, so we tend to perceive, even though they are dissimilar, even though they may be different, but still we perceive that as similar or close or one group. Okay, so that is the law of proximity. Law of continuity. This law of continuity says that human brain, it tends to perceive or it tends to group continuous information, similar and continuous information as one group. Okay, see for example this picture. Even though these all these dots are random dots, but still we try to see them as curves, continuously moving curves, not as some random pieces of dots or random dots. We assume a shape even though it is not intended to be in particular shape. We assume, we presume, we interpret, and we try to give such kind of a meaning to that figure as if it is a continuous, curves, two curves there. Okay, so this is a law of continuity. That is the reason why marketers, they try to send continuous continuous messages or continuous information to the continuous communications to the consumers, so that they can group them or so that they can remember the brand easily. Okay, rather than making it discrete. Okay, similarly, law of good figure. Like this is also another thing. If you look at this picture, okay, you tend to assume it to be circles, joint circles, or circles forming a certain pattern here. Okay, you don't assume any other shape, like this is one shape here, this is one shape. You can assume any other shape, but you won't. You try to form a continuous and easy pattern here. That is how your mind reads this picture as circles only, even though you can assume different other figures from this pattern. But we tend to assume the simplest and easy pattern of information or of stimuli. That is how our brain reacts. That is how our brain organizes things, so that it is easy for it to store and to restore. Okay, so this is the law of good figure, where our brain tends to form or understand the information or store the information in the simplest and easiest possible pattern. Okay. Similarly, law of closure. Law of closure, like if you see this, immediately you assume the shape of a diamond. Okay, but if you see it, if you closely observe it, there are gaps here. It is not a diamond actually. There are certain gaps here. But our brain is giving it a closure. It is assuming, like it is assuming that there is a continuous shape drawn of a diamond. Okay, so that is the law of closure, where we assume, even though we are exposed to only a part of the information or part of the stimuli, the rest of the information or the rest of the communication we assume, and we try to give it a full whole form, a full complete meaning. Okay, so like for example, these assumptions are very tricky. Like if you have a good opinion or a favorable opinion on a particular company, okay, you assume, even though they do not deliberately tell you, you still assume that the next product from that company will be of equal good quality. Okay, because you already have certain information in your mind, or you already have certain pattern in your mind, and you are jumping to a conclusion, you are closing that, you are assuming that, even though it is unsaid, okay, that particular company is offering you yet another good product. Okay, you are assuming that. Okay, so that assumption and this principle of closure will be of great help to the marketers if they use it right. Okay, next is law of common region. Right? See, these are two circles, and within the circle there are two small dots. But these two dots belong to this whole circle, and these two dots belong to this group. That is how we see it. No, even though these two small dots are very close to one another, we still have that separation here. We still assume that separation, and we consider this as one group and we consider this as the other group. Okay, maybe these because they are all in one circle, all the points here or all the objects or products here share certain common characteristics. That is how we assume. That is how we group, and that is how we organize that information. Okay, so this is the law of common region principle. Right? There is, like, human brain, human mind, it assumes based on, it stores information based on these principles. So that, as I told you, it is easy for us to organize the information, to store the information, to process the information, to give a meaning to that information. Okay, so these are the laws which really influence the perceptual organization of information. Okay, thank you, and if you find it useful, please do subscribe to my channel and like the video.